Open the meeting. This is a meeting of the personnel.
In answer to your question, it was on, but they edited it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks, David.
Thank you for explaining it better than I did. I was trying to, but.
I'm just trying to put the lights on for you here.
This is an open session public meeting.
Could you
and
put the
it-
heat on?
And it's subject to being recorded. This is a personnel committee on Wednesday, September 18, 2024. I'm Claire Pond, and Sue Terrian on the personnel board is with us as well. Let's see, the first item of business, I think, if you're okay, Kristen, are you all right if I ask Julie to go first of all for the, for her
Absolutely.
recreation position?
I brought, does anyone need a hard copy?
Yes, I do.
You got it. I do.
All right, so Julie Lee is with us, and she's
Thank
going to talk about the recreation program counselor for the recreation committee.
Great. Okay, so what we decided to put in front of you is a job description for program counselors for the rec department. So this will cover any programs that we run. I know we came before you a few months ago to do summer, because that was exclusive to just seasonal summer help. But we thought if we're gonna be running programs throughout the year, which we're really hoping, because we have a really great group of folks now, different. We've changed some positions over. They were also equally as great. But we wanna start really fulfilling the charter of the program. So the biggest kickoff for the programs that we're gonna do is for all the half-days that the school runs for their professional development. When Superintendent Costello was the superintendent, now we have an interim. But when Superintendent Costello was the interim, the school committee voted to change the calendar to include more half-days so that the teachers could collaborate more frequently on those half-days for professional development, so having one a month. And the research was brought before us that supported these districts that are doing this have higher functioning and happier schools. And there was a ton of research or data that showed that. So the discussion was around, now what do we do for these families that have working parents that can't, this is a logistical nightmare for them, right, to have more half days. So the recreation departments in both towns with the school started thinking, well, why don't we help, and why don't we run programs? And they do this in other communities too. They run before school, after school, so that for those half days, the kids will get dismissed to, kids can still go home, or the kids can get dismissed right to the recreation programs. And the school's willing to allow us to use the facilities during those times. So what we need though is we need counselors. So kind of like the same thing,
Yeah.
we need youth counselors. The advantage to this district is the high school takes the half day the same day as the elementary schools, unlike other districts where their high school doesn't do a half day at the same days that their elementary schools do. And why that's advantageous is because then we can appeal to those kids at the high school to work. And for transportation purposes, if they don't drive, they can just take the bus from Tohoto
Yeah.
over to BES or BMS.
Okay.
And just be able to start the programs there. Tricky part is we don't know how many counselors we're gonna need, because we're gonna do this through a registration process. BES they're gonna do theirs the same way we are in Berlin. They're gonna use the MyRec software. They have theirs up and running right now, which is fine.
Okay.
We're gonna do ours through a Google form, but we're not gonna know how many counselors we need until we know how many children we have.
Right.
Because that's all based on ratios, and it's by age too.
Okay.
So you need more counselors at the younger age than you do at the older age. But if we have this job application approved, then we're in a good position, so we'll be able to run these programs for the rest of the year. It's one a month.
Yeah.
There's 2 months that we don't run them.
Yeah.
And then whatever other programs we may run that, I don't know, I'm trying to think of something off the top of my head.
Like a holiday or
Yeah, if we do like
a-
something like that, and we need 2 high school kids to work, as long as they've gone through the onboarding process, which now we're familiar with, which takes a little bit of time, because there is a packet, and there's queries and
Right.
stories and
Yeah.
I-9s and all
Yeah.
that. So we know we need so much time, to get all those kids, all that paperwork done, and on the town end, to give some time for the townspeople that can process the paperwork.
And you'll work with Dee, put out an advertisement for
Oh,
this
yes.
and get the kids queued up and everything.
Yep, so we have to post it
Yep.
on the town website, which we didn't, we just posted it on Facebook, so we have to definitely post it on the town website. And then we'll post it everywhere. We'll send it to Lisa Sequeira at Tohoto. She can put it out in her newsletter. We'll send it to the elementary school principals. They can put it out in their newsletter. We can put it at the G, at 19 Carter. And then there'll be a deadline to apply by. So we have to open the application process.
Yeah.
We have to close it because then we can't take anyone else.
Or do you wanna leave it, because you don't know
How many?
how many, you could
talked about
say.
that
You could say
today.
rolling.
Until it is, yeah, rolling or until it is filled.
Yep.
Because you have no,
I know.
You might wanna do that, and it's something that we could keep up on the website as, and you could advertise it then periodically through Facebook when you're
Mhm.
actually like looking, but we could keep it as like a rolling application, so kids could apply, you could queue them up, and you could have them through the whole process of their paperwork and everything and ready to go for when you guys need them.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Then you
Yeah.
kind of have a pool
Yeah,
of
right.
people that like, you're not scrambling going, I'm doing this event, you know,
Yeah.
next week, and I don't have anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
And too, if, you know, say like, we do it 1 week or 1 month, and then we go back to our friends and say like, oh my gosh, it was so great, you should do it, and then maybe
Snowballs.
they'll,
Right.
yeah, it might
Right.
snowball,
In
so
a
that's a
good
better
way.
idea, in a good way, yeah.
Not a
We have
bad
more.
snowball.
Right, exactly. So that's what, so yeah, that's the application there,
Okay, great.
and then anything, you know, that you folks know, we can add, we can delete, we can,
Now, is this, I didn't pull out the other job description. This is pretty close to the other job description, is
Mhm.
that correct?
exactly right, we just,
Okay.
we took out the specifics from the summer.
All
We
right.
had certain hours, and this will be so far under the hour, I mean, I could add the hours if you want on here.
Well, they might vary though.
you're gonna, yeah.
It's almost like a
Things are gonna
library
vary
page.
so much.
Oh, right, I can't put the hours on, yeah, you're right, duh.
It's kind of reminds me of like the library page job description we have where, and that's kind of a
Yep.
rolling thing in a way when Victoria
Yeah.
needs pages
Okay.
or people come
All right.
forward, and
Yeah.
you know, you keep it non-specific when it comes to the hours, cause you don't even know as you ramp up, you know, and bring on a rec director, what it's gonna look
That's
like
true.
for programming.
That's true, right.
So you kinda wanna leave
Okay.
that.
So it would be like a per diem position, so per day, that type of thing.
Yeah, you're doing minimum
Minimum
wage.
wage, yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
This is a town program, right?
This is town, yes.
So you're not having to follow like IEPs or
So,
students that
interesting.
have.
Correct, yep, education plans. So we talked about that at the school committee meeting.
Yes, I
and-
watched.
Okay.
That's why I'm like,
So,
that
right,
could get
so-
tricky.
It is tricky, so what the decision was because in school, if the independent education plan requires a one-to-one, the school has to provide that.
Right.
Because we are not school, we don't have to follow that, however, we certainly don't wanna turn any child away. So the pupil personnel director, at that meeting had said, how about this? After you guys get all of your student names, we can look them over. And because we can't have the school tell us
Right, no,
confidentiality, right?
Right.
And there's laws that protect them. But the school can say, it's our recommendation that maybe you have an additional staff on for, and they can say that, they just can't identify what, the reason why.
Yep.
Right.
So, and I think that's a good, middle ground, because we don't wanna turn kids away.
you don't wanna turn kids away, but you also need to protect yourself liability wise,
Well, we'll talk
just
about
in
that
case.
too,
I've-
right.
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 So would those staffers be provided by the school?
See, that's where I'm having,
Is that where you're, I'm going, I think the same place you
So
are.
the mentor that I work with, she had said in her programs that she runs, where she emailed me the language that we can put on our thing, that says, well, we encourage all children to attend. We are not able to provide, any one-on-one staffing. And she hasn't had
Mm.
any
Yeah.
issues. If, however, we have children that are diabetic, we are required to have a nurse
Mhm.
on site.
Mm.
But what we're gonna do for those children is, because we do have diabetic children in the district, the nurses are still here because they're participating in their own professional development. So we will hold those children, will be on the same site as the nursing staff in case there is an incident.
I taught in a classroom where I had, you know, kid that was one-on-one, but extremely violent.
Yeah,
And I just, you know, you've gotta protect yourself and the other children.
of course, yep, of
Yes.
course.
So there's language that your colleagues have used,
With her
Is that-
programs, yep.
is that posted language, is that in the advertisement, where does that go?
So we'll put that in our registration, on our registration
Okay.
form,
All right.
so
Yep.
parents are aware.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that's,
Because, right, because, yeah, we, even in like coaching, I don't know who I'm gonna get.
Right.
You know, I don't know.
right.
Hmm. Well, and I imagine too, you know, this is, you guys are working with the school committee, and the school administration,
Mhm.
right? So if an issue came up and you needed to have a conversation, I think one thing that would be good perhaps to lay out in advance is just to have that discussion with the interim superintendent and say, hey, you need to understand, we're not teachers, we're not licensed,
Yeah.
we're not specialists, so if there is an issue, I need someone that I can come to, and you guys are gonna have to handle it.
Yep.
Because I just don't want the liability on the town. I'm
Yeah.
not saying you guys wouldn't know what
Of
to do,
course.
but you're
Well,
not
yeah.
trained in that area, do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh my
And I don't think I
goodness.
want you guys to take on that liability.
Okay.
That's
Right.
all it is. So
Right.
I think just setting that
Yeah.
up in advance and
Yeah.
saying if there's an issue, you know, we need to know who to contact at the schools, and the school would handle
Yeah.
that situation.
Okay.
I think that would cover us from a liability perspective.
Okay,
Good, good.
so you want that in, writing, or do you want me just to have that conversation with Al?
I would have that conversation, you know, and, I mean, I guess I don't know that I feel like I need it specifically in writing. I just think that there needs to be a mechanism set up for that to occur,
Okay.
should there be an issue.
Yeah, that's a good point, okay.
Like, I wouldn't put it in the job description, or, you know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
more of a logistical.
Okay.
So you're looking for just something in writing from the superintendent or from the recreation committee after they have the discussion with the superintendent?
I would like it from, after you guys confirm it back to us, once you've had the conversation, just let us know how it's gonna proceed, and you can
Okay.
just, yeah, put that in like an email
Okay,
to
good.
us, that's
Good,
perfect.
okay.
But it's fair that I could just meet with him
Yep,
as a rec, not as, maybe I'm saying.
yeah, yeah, as a
Right,
rec,
yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Gotta switch hats.
Yep, so chance, okay, okay. Okay, then,
You know, and if there are concerns that come up and, you know, we need to have a further discussion and you want me there or involved,
Yeah.
just, I'm happy to do so.
Okay.
So, I think, you know, it's better to be prepared and know how you're gonna mitigate any concerns that might
Yeah.
come up with regards to, you know, kids, because you could have any number of issues arise.
Yep, yep, okay.
Good.
And you are gonna have school staff there, cause it is a professional development
Correct.
day, so there needs to be like a point person if there is an issue.
Yep, okay, perfect.
And you don't have to keep them in the program. I'm sorry, that's a really rude thing to say.
Well,
but
that's kind of what I'm alluding to.
You can say,
yeah.
sorry, your child is not, you know, it's not like a school that we have to have them in the classroom and we have to provide an education. This is extra.
Yep,
you know.
Right.
that's what we were trying to
And you
get
guys can't
public to
be
understand.
really nice. I mean,
Right.
everybody wants to help the kids out.
Right,
And you want to be supportive, but you've got to remember the other children.
of course. yeah.
So that's my,
Can you find out, is it Boylston that's done this before, or another town, like, do they have any kind of an agreement, like an MOU at all between like the rec committee and the school that lays
I'll
out,
ask her.
like, you know, how you would handle these types of situations, and that makes it clear that the rec committee is under no obligation to, or there's no guarantee that a student, you know, would have a place in the program if there are behavioral issues, something to that
Okay.
Yep.
effect. I'm trying to think of a diplomatic way
I
to
know.
say it, but I'm with you on that.
Are
Yeah,
you-
yeah, yeah,
Are you charging for the program? So it's not through the school? That's what I was thinking, was
Correct.
if the school
Right.
was sponsoring it
Okay.
and
Ah.
paying for it,
All right.
then that would like do
Okay.
that link versus if,
Yeah, I'm thinking though, because they were asking for the program to be provided and they have the staffing, we don't want that to come back on us, and they have the trained staff. So I think that would be a fair thing to ask the school to do, since, you know,
I think so.
they were asking for rec committee to come forward and help
Yeah.
provide this programming. That's what we would be asking for from them.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Did you have a chance to look at the job description?
Yes.
It's good. I didn't see anything that I,
All right.
Kristen, did you have an opportunity to see?
I did,
Oh, good,
and I did
okay.
not have any concerns.
All right,
I'm comfortable with the job description, I just wanna make sure
Yeah,
they,
those points, those are good points.
you know, that's not part of the job description, but I think
yeah.
those are some pretty major points.
Yeah, they are
Okay,
major.
Great,
Yeah.
all right.
Agreed.
Well, any other things that, any other questions you had?
No, I'm all set.
Okay, me too. Anything else, Julie, that you'd like to, anything?
No, this is great. I'll get all that
Okay, great.
stuff. It's
All
good to
right.
come to these meetings, I
Okay.
leave homework.
Right, like to make a motion that we approve the job description so that she can get going on working on all this other stuff, the
So, yeah.
advertising and everything, and Dee helps with that, right?
Yep.
Yep,
Okay.
she will, sure.
Great, all right.
So then so from my end, I'm just thinking now how the whole committee's involved on this job description, I mean.
What do you mean?
Because we've already seen it, the committee.
Right.
Now these little things that the suggestions or the feedback that I'm gonna now find out about. So
I view that as separate from the job
Okay,
description.
totally separate, so this can go live.
I would say you could certainly start recruiting people, because we have no,
Yeah.
say for some
Right.
reason this didn't work out, right?
Yeah.
We haven't hired anybody yet, we don't
Yeah.
have any obligation, you know, to, you know, keep them on as an employee or pay them. Even if we were to hire somebody, you know, it's a temporary per diem kind of
Right.
thing.
Sure.
So if it doesn't work for this, it would work for something else potentially that recreation
Perfect.
is doing. But I would like to get in writing the school piece of it
Yep.
sooner rather than later.
Yep, that makes sense, okay.
Okay.
So call up or email Dee, you know, whenever you want, and she can work with you on the advertising
Okay.
component of it.
Perfect. Heard that one, okay.
So the motion's on the floor?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right,
So the
let's go.
job description's approved,
Awesome.
and thank you very much. I
Welcome,
know this
thank
is a
you.
lot. So the recreation director,
It's
where
okay.
are we with that?
So we've received a number of applications, and we're in the process of putting together a committee to review
Oh,
what
good,
we've received.
okay.
So we're
Because we know,
working on it.
it's a lot of work, and we know, believe me. It's-
Right.
Thank you.
We're on the same boat, yep. We're on the same boat.
I listened to Felicia,
Yeah.
my niece, too.
Exactly, yes.
Because she works with you on
Yeah.
all this stuff,
Yeah,
so
she does
thank you
great work
very
on the
much for
committee.
doing all this.
Yeah, you're welcome, you're welcome. All right, thank you. I would stay, but I have to run and pick someone up, but
Okay.
thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
I appreciate it. Have a great
Okay,
evening.
see you
Julie.
later.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye. All
Bye.
right. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is minutes. Did you have a chance to read the
I'll make
minutes?
a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good. Next are the PAFs.
Okay, so we have a PAF for a library page who is resigning because she is leaving for school. So this is for Eleanor Meltzer.
What's her first name?
Eleanor,
Eleanor. Yeah.
and the same for Charles Rule, as in rule, Rule.
And he's doing the same, huh?
And he's a
Yes.
library page as well?
Yes.
Wow.
They're heading back to
Yeah,
school, but we're thankful we had them for the time we did.
right. Now, are they in the middle of college, or are they in the middle of, are they coming back, or?
My understanding is no. So
Okay.
this is
All
actually
right.
the termination paperwork,
Oh,
which
okay.
sounds
Yeah.
terrible, but
Yeah,
they,
no, no,
they
no,
have
right.
officially resigned.
Okay, all right. I just wasn't sure because sometimes they stay
come
on
back,
in
yeah.
case they, are needed or what have you. And that's it? You got?
Nope, I got a
you
couple
have
more.
Okay.
The principal assessor is eligible to receive a $1,000 stipend for being a certified assessor, the same as the treasurer collector, and that was a change we made at town meeting in May, so this is a PAF for that stipend, and that is prorated out on a weekly basis by
Yeah.
paycheck.
So when you said.
Great.
Yep.
Yep. It's Linda. Felicia.
All right. And then I have 3 contractual increases for 3 of the firefighters who are in the union. So it's a step increase per the union contract for Kevin Colony, Thomas TJ Deptula, and Michelle DeVoe. I always see Thomas and go, who's that? And then I remember it's TJ.
Okay. Just want to see how Michelle's last name. D-E-V.
There you go.
D-E-E-V-E-A.
And the rest of these were the Collins, right, Jim?
I think so.
Yeah.
And the rest of them are what?
The rest of these, I won't bore you with all of the names, but I
That's
will
okay.
pass them to you. So these are call firefighters
Okay.
that the chief has evaluated and determined should receive a step increase
Okay.
based on their performance evaluation. So there are a few of them in there.
All right.
Hmm?
Beautiful.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's a weird looking little boat.
That's cute.
It is?
It flies
All
though.
right,
Oh.
Should I make a motion to
anymore.
approve them and we can start signing them?
It's been that kind of day.
I'm glad I'm sitting way over here.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Okay, given that all of these, most of these are contractual, except for the resignations, I'd like to make a motion that we approve these PAFs as written.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right. So, a call firefighter, step increases, okay. All right, those are approved. Okay, PAS. All right, sign off on those. Okay, the next order of business was to discuss, review and discuss the Council on Aging Social Services job description and position.
Yes, and if I may just sneak in a preview of coming attractions before I forget, Eloise has asked me to make a note that when we have our next meeting, if we could put on the agenda, she is looking for another assistant in the office that would work under James, that can go to training and can go to clerk school. So I am currently working with her, helping her get that job
Do a job
description up.
description, good.
Yep, so she just asked if I could mention that to you. And I
Okay,
didn't wanna
great.
forget, so if we could put that on our next agenda, that would be great.
Okay, great.
Does anyone need a hard copy on the COA job description?
Were there any change, we did get the draft, but is it?
Oh, nothing
has that
changed from,
Okay, this
did I
is
send you the updated one from?
dated August 7th, 8/7.
No, this has changed from the last meeting.
Oh, okay.
So, sorry,
Oh, that's okay.
I may have not sent it out. I did meet with the, Council on Aging on it.
Okay.
Oh, you're good? Okay. And I did rework it into a 30-hour-a-week position. I did talk to them about a lot of the concerns that were conveyed at the last meeting. And one of the things we worked on was really kind of splitting this into 5 sort of categories. And they almost kind of flow, with the exception of day-to-day operations. They almost kind of flow in a way where the director would start with outreach and gathering the information from residents and seeing what those services are that they need, like we talked about last time, collaborating with existing programs rather than developing new programs.
Yep, nice.
Helping with some advocacy, because, and attending, that includes attending town functions, getting the word out about things, making sure folks know what we have, in the
Beautiful.
community.
Yep.
And then lastly, developing programming to address gaps in services. So making sure we're not redoing things or recreating things that are available through other agencies, but looking at programming particularly that can be grant funded and can assist in developing strategies for seniors to age in place, because that's one of the things that we consistently hear from many groups that work in town that is a problem. I will say they were a little disappointed. They wanted a full-time position. I did explain to them the idea of starting with a 30-hour-a-week position and having that director have the opportunity to add an admin.
Yeah.
Down the line, if they see so fit, if there is the need for that.
Yeah.
And I think they understood that, and the fact that then you have someone to back the other person up and you don't have just one person in the office. So I did run some numbers for you. If we did a 30-hour COA director, that's 1,560 hours per year. And I looked at the class and comp plan to see where that position falls. And it currently falls on the grade 9. And so if you look at advertising it, I would recommend steps 1 through 4. That gives you a range at 30 hours of between $47,000 and a little over $50,000 a year, which is, I think, a decent salary with benefits that would potentially be
Yeah.
attractive to people.
The benefits are excellent, so.
Absolutely. And so that leaves your funding remaining somewhere between $23,000 and $26,500. So $23,000 to $26,000, where you could potentially bring in what I would call a COA admin.
Yep.
I would recommend that position be at a grade 6. So if you look at the first 4 steps in grade 6, and you did even a 19-hour-a-week position would fit with the funding that you have left over. So I actually think that now that I've had a chance to look at it and run the numbers and rework the job description, it's an excellent suggestion. Like I said, I did run it by the COA. They were on board. So that's what I have for you.
What do you guys use for a percentage in terms of benefits? So if it was a 20-hour position for the part-time admin, I'm just curious.
20 or more gets benefits.
Right, but that's what I mean. Do you guys, is it 13%? Is it, how, do you
Oh, the
guys-
percentage that we pay versus what they pay, you mean?
No,
Like,
what are all the benefits based on?
right.
I don't know.
Do you guys
We
have,
don't-
like, I
haven't
know
done that. I know
sometimes vacation, holiday, and sick time
Federal and the-
can run about 12 to 15% of a person's
Oh.
salary. And then on top of that, the health, the all those other things that, life insurance, whatever benefits they get as a 20-hour person. Do we know about how much the cost is for that? I'm just curious. I don't know. I know you said it's a 19-hour position, but
So
say.
that would be non-benefited
Okay.
at 19.
Okay, yes.
And then the director at 30 would be benefited.
Right, yep.
So you actually do pick up more hours by
Yep.
doing it that way, because before you had it as one person at 40 hours.
Yep.
This feasibly could do one at 30, one at 19.
Yeah.
Still only one benefited, which already is budgeted
Right.
for.
Yep.
So
Good.
on the
Okay.
benefit side, that
Yeah.
works pretty
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, okay, good. And then down the road, you determine like what would be needed in terms of the days. The
I-
day,
Yep.
each day, how many hours each day, depending upon, you know, what the needs are. They need to be here the same time the accounting department's here, the same day that so-and-so.
Treasurer.
Yeah.
Right, well, and what I'm trying to actually do is I would love to have more offices on a similar schedule. So obviously this isn't 40, so it can't be on the same schedule as what we're working with right now with like accounting, select
Right.
board, TA, and the treasurer collector's office, but we could make it close. You know, and I think that would be beneficial to try to align as much as we can. Now, there are offices obviously that aren't under the jurisdiction of the select board or
Yeah.
are also like 30-hour a week, so we
Right.
can't get everybody the same,
Right.
but I think it's easier for the residents the closer we are all aligned, so
Yep.
they don't come here and go, oh, that office is closed today, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm trying to work in that direction.
So what about the accounting department? Is that open, is that to a 4-day week, or is the accounting
We
department
try.
5 days?
Well, we try.
Yeah.
I know you try, I know.
We are closed
I was
on
just
Fridays to the
curious.
public, but if
Okay.
there's extra work, unfortunately, or extra hours
Right.
that need to
Yep.
be, you know, because basically the way that we're working right now is we're doing 9, 9, 11, 9 is the set office hours, so 8 to 5, that we have Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday for the treasurer collector and the select board town administrator's office. Accounting is not a public-facing office, so
Yep,
they're able to
okay.
have a little bit of flexibility in their schedule, which they need, like on a payroll day, they may be here for longer that
Yep,
day.
okay.
And then, so that adds up to 38 hours, so there's still another 2 hours that have to be worked in, and whether that's a Friday morning, or somebody comes in earlier on
Yeah.
another morning or stays later because they have a meeting or what have
Yeah.
you. So we're still hitting the 40 hours, even though we're doing the try of the
Yeah.
closure on
I was just
Fridays.
curious, you
Sure.
know, and kind of teasing.
Oh, well,
They
no,
could-
it's a good question.
Yeah.
No, it's actually, no, people
I
have
know,
asked.
I know,
Yeah.
it's hard to try and get everything done in
It's
the
better
hour.
on a Saturday, but yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I have to say, I love it not because Fridays are off, but because I'm here on Fridays and it's so quiet and
And
I
it's
get so much
quiet and
work done.
nobody's pestering you, right.
Well, and it's amazing when you're not constantly interrupted, how much the work flows and you can really
Yep.
get into
Yep.
some of the complicated stuff, so I like it.
I think the answer to your question was approximately 28%.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
On how much does it cost per person?
Yeah, we figure benefits
interesting,
run about
okay.
20,
I'm
what,
just going
25 to
Yeah, no,
30,000
that's-
a person.
Yep, yep.
That was
That's
based
always
on
kind of
state.
in the back of our minds, we should keep that in mind, because, you know, for any of us, anybody that's out in the working world, I mean, definitely, that's,
Bureau of Labor, they estimated about $10 an hour, give or take a few.
yep, yep. Hmm. Okay.
I admit, okay, here I come. I'm still not really comfortable with this at all. I admit it. I've talked to so many people, and I feel really concerned because I have sat at the selectmen's meeting, so it's not that anymore. Anyways, and I've listened to the the previous COA director come in, and they say, you know, what's your work schedule like? Oh, well, some days I'm really busy, some days I do nothing. I mean, we're taking half the job away. There is no social service part of this now. It's just COA. Select board, you know, kind of said no when it came to them asking for another person.
Yep.
And FinCom said no when they asked for another person. And I just want somebody to tell me why. Why all of a sudden is this a full-time job request, even if we're saying, you know, crabbily it's 30. We're not getting any numbers. I had my big, you know, red light experience. I called another volunteer chairperson, because I knew I was going to a meeting and I knew there was concerns about a new position. And I said, can you tell me roughly, and I was expecting an appropriate, approximate, how many people does your group actually service? What do you actually, I didn't just get a number. I got, these are the programs we offer. There are 78 participants in that. This program, there were 22. This program we are not in charge of, but we work with another organization, and those have 222. I got real numbers, and I'm not hearing anybody say, yes, they would like it full-time. But I'm not hearing the why. I'm not hearing, and it's bothering me that we're gonna, create this position. I would like to hear from, what is the select board saying about this? What is the FinCom saying about it? They're the ones that,
Now, in terms of that position right now,
Yep.
I think there's a volunteer in there, right?
Yeah, and
And how
we've
many
really
hours?
overextended her, unfortunately. So my concern is really trying to, get somebody in the position. I obviously want to make sure it's done correctly, which is why I've taken it so long. She's not doing the full work of the position. She's literally doing payroll, van
Okay.
driver.
Yeah.
That's really been her main
Okay.
focus.
All right.
I hear loud and clear about the data collection. Unfortunately, I can't make up for
No,
not
and
having had it.
you can't
But we
do
can
that.
do it going
but
forward.
you have worked, how many hours have you put in on this job description?
A fair amount.
This isn't your job. This isn't your responsibility. I'm sorry, this should have been the council. But you've put in a lot of hours and you're in the same position. I think you have been put in an awful position, because you have no idea how many people use that service.
Mm.
And of all the people I've talked to, and I admit I've really gone out and done it, I've heard one person say that their mother used the service. That's it. And I know I'm gonna get outvoted on this, but I'm just really having a hard time.
I think that I certainly heard your concerns at the last meeting, and I think they're very valid. And that is why I really tried to rebuild it, where you build up slowly, kind of with the baby steps like you were talking about, where you
Mhm.
do that outreach, you really figure out the need. And then you get with the existing organizations, you make use of the services that are already there, through 19 Carter, Neshoba Neighbors, our surrounding communities that apparently will let us go there.
Okay, well, what
which
happens
I've
in
learned.
6 months? Now, all of a sudden, we have somebody that's collecting the data, giving the numbers. What happens in 6 months when you find out that it really is only, 5% of that 35% that actually even use this service, which is a number that we heard before that it was, what
I
happens?
guess I just think that you're building it though, and you weren't building it before. Do you know what I mean? Like before you weren't being proactive, you were being reactive to it. You were just taking people that were coming as opposed to having the time and the energy to really reach out.
Okay, so but there's still a chance, there's a lot of people that are gonna say no. They don't need anything. They don't, they're busy.
Yeah.
And if the need isn't there, I'm not even saying, being nice, if the need isn't there, what's gonna happen?
Well, if the need isn't there and we determine that, we would have to lay off the employee.
Would a thought be to reduce the hours from 30 to 24 to start with? Would
I-
that be something that might be amenable? Would that be something that might be,
I would feel better, but I would also feel better if you went to, the other two groups. Cause I know that one of the select board members actually said, wait a minute, we told them they couldn't have an extra person, and now you're making it a full-time job, and it just,
Well, I did brief the select board on it. I didn't get a lot of specific feedback, at the time, and we didn't have a whole conversation
Yeah.
about it. But there is funding for a full-time position within this. So if it's not one position that's full-time and it can be broken up, I really feel that that's falls under your purview, not the FinCom or the select board.
But the FinCom member that was here before, the funding was for the social service part of it. I just feel like we're kind of,
Well, that's where I didn't
I'm
see
nervous.
the need.
I
is-
feel like
No,
we're-
and that's fair.
And I feel like we're monkeying around with things that, two groups, I'm just not comfortable.
Okay.
It's not that I don't understand what you're saying.
Yep.
And I don't, I understand the need, that it's there. But I'm just having some, absolutely needs more supervision than it had before.
Mm-hmm.
And
Is it possible to advertise for 24 to 30 hours depending on,
if this person comes
I
in.
know that somebody who wants
Yeah.
to get a job, usually they wanna know what is it
Right,
entailing,
right.
But if this person comes in and finds out, yeah, there's definitely a need, an interest,
Mm-hmm.
but, I know that, say this correctly, I know that another department reached out to COA recently and before and said, can we work together on something? Oh, nobody will even participate in that. It's,
Okay.
we need the interest and we need to know what that is. I'd hate to see us just create this job and, 5 people come in.
Right.
Well,
I'm.
no, I see what you're saying, and it is hard without having the data. I feel like this is a much different model that would result in, understanding the need that's out there and then being able to work with the residents and also just make sure we're not duplicating efforts.
Right, but how many
Um,
people return those Powder House News surveys?
Yeah,
3?
not a lot.
I'm just saying-
We had 4.
Wasn't the position 24 hours prior to this, and then we funded the additional 16 with the ARPA funds that,
The social service part, yeah.
for the social services piece?